Hey YouTubers, so I wanted to kind of make this video basically as an open question to everyone who is really excited about Jigsaw opening up just in a week, guys. We have 1 week until Jigsaw opens up, and that is just really freaking exciting if you're anything like me. And I'm sure a lot of you guys, just based on your comments and all the interaction that I've been having with you guys, you're really excited about that. Also, I wanted to say that the third part in the retrospective series I'm doing with Jacob is going to be coming out later tonight. I'm not necessarily sure exactly when. It's taking a long time. It's the longest one yet, and I really hope y'all enjoy that if you've been enjoying them thus far. We had a whole lot of fun making that little series for you guys, and I really hope that you've enjoyed it. Anyway, I wanted to ask, basically, what do you want from Saw 9? Because, look, I want to be clear, and I wanted to kind of shore this up for a lot of people during this video as well, but I want to be clear. This is not the last Saw movie that we're ever going to see. It is a long-running property. It's been extremely profitable in its short term. They've made several movies over the course of very few years, only 13 years to get 8 movies now. That is phenomenal. In fact, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that. A lot of franchises wouldn't be able to do that. I mean, look how long we've been sitting on Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, the Friday the 13th movies, and almost everything else. It's not as many horror movies have the long-running potential as this series has had, and obviously a lot of that is to the teams that have made these movies and just the dedication. Now, none of this is to say that Jigsaw is going to be a major success at the box office. In fact, I really don't necessarily think it's going to reach the former glory of the old days. And just to kind of put it into perspective, domestically, Saw 2 was the pinnacle, and then internationally, worldwide, Saw 3 was the pinnacle, and it's basically just been falling since then. Of course, they did have that little down period in Saw 6 in 2009, but that's so many different factors, and then also an upkick with Saw 3D. Like I said, both those films, so many factors that went into either their failure or their success as opposed to almost any of the other ones in the series. And you really can't look at those as a whole. Honestly, we're not necessarily sure how well Jigsaw is going to do at this point. It could make enough money, and to kind of just put that into perspective, what I'm saying, and by no means am I an expert on this in terms of how much this movie cost to make, how much they've spent on marketing, and how much it might make in the box office, but I do kind of pride myself with really enjoying box office numbers, predictions, news, and I follow it very closely, and especially with films, film business, what they usually put into these movies, how much they cost. Honestly, I wouldn't be incredibly surprised if we were to learn somewhere down the line that Jigsaw actually did cost somewhere around $20 million to make. Now, of course, it would be really nice to say that it's a little bit less, maybe 15, maybe 10. I really think that they should have kept this budget small, but even just in general, a $20 million budget is pretty much guaranteeing that this film is going to make a profit at least at some point, especially since current box office trending is going up for this film at the very end of the month. Right now, it's kind of hovering around 32 million as the ideal number that this movie is going to make, not opening weekend, but going to make in total domestically. And as I've been saying for months now, it could potentially make around 60 million worldwide, making around 90 million. Either way, that's going to be a big success. Of course, we want the movie to make somewhere around 123 million because that's going to put the whole franchise up around $1 billion at that point. But I'm not saying that's a guarantee. In fact, I don't think that's a guarantee, but I mean, it really depends on how well it does internationally. Honestly, when you think about Saw, you think about what the Saw franchise really did for the horror genre back in 2004 through 2010. It created, a lot of people kind of assume this, I guess it's somewhat true, even though I don't necessarily like the term, and I think a lot of the fans don't like the term, but it created the whole torture porn just subgenre of horror that was really ruling, kind of after taking over from the J-horror or the Asian remake genres that were really prevalent in the very early days of the 2000s. But honestly, that time has passed. We're kind of in more of a doll-centric haunted house era of horror right now, with the Conjuring franchise doing incredibly well. And at the same time, almost everything out of Blumhouse, everyone wants original content, just really high concept things. Maybe that works in Jigsaw's favor, maybe it doesn't, considering it's part of a long-running franchise. We're just going to have to wait and see. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it does do well. But all that is to suffices to say that this is a horror franchise. So maybe they might not make a sequel to Jigsaw, the movie that we're getting next week, but it's just easy to kind of assume that they will be making a Jigsaw movie 2 or another Saw movie, at least a 9th entry in the overall series, not necessarily a sequel to this one, at some point in the future. And I think we can really all agree that that's what happens. I mean, you can't keep a long-running horror franchise down. I mean, just next year we're getting a brand new sequel, even though it is one of those Halloween sequels where there's so many different continuities to that series that it's almost annoying. And Saw's really of a tight continuity in comparison to that one. At the same time, they've been trying to make Nightmare on Elm Street again, and they're also trying to make Friday the 13th again. Obviously, Chucky just had a new release a couple weeks ago to rave reviews from some of the people that I know who really like those franchises, or at least that particular franchise. So you really can't take the steam out of a good horror franchise. We will see Saw 9 at some point, and that's why I'm making this video, just to kind of assure everyone that even though we really want this movie to be good, we want it to do well at the box office, we want to see a brand new Saw movie next year. A lot of people think that we're going to get a brand new movie next year if this one does good. I want everyone to kind of slow their roll and not necessarily think it that way. In fact, even if it does do good, I really want this film to take its time. You know, I want the team to come back. It would be great to have the writers, the directors, the actors, and whoever's left come back and decide that they want to make a movie to tell a story, not just to make a movie, and figure out the right direction. I mean, say what you want about the original Saw films, and honestly, I've said my piece about them in that retrospective series. They're great, especially for fans, but they did kind of get monotonous, and they did get kind of shambles. You know, it kind of went into shambles as this show ran on for so many years, because they didn't have enough time to put all the pieces together, and they didn't have enough time to second guess themselves, and they just had to kind of throw out content every single year. I think that would be pretty bad for this franchise going forward. In fact, I really hope that they adopt the old Final Destination model, where you have one every 3 years or so. So maybe that sucks that we're not getting them as quickly, but hopefully the next movie will be just as good as this one, at least in terms of the quality that they're putting in front and behind the camera is just amazing. And what we've seen, I'm really hoping that really turns into a fun cinematic experience. We'll see next week. I'm really excited. But really, I think when you put it all into perspective, I want them to take their time. I want them to figure out the right story when it comes to something like Saw 9 or Jigsaw 2 or whatever they end up calling it, and then give us a movie. So whether that's 3 years from now, 2 years from now, 4 or 5 years from now, take their time. This isn't the last Saw movie we're ever going to see, but hopefully the next one is just as good as Jigsaw looks, and we're just going to leave it at that. Guys, I wanted to just make this video just to shore up all of those speculations that I've seen in the comment section below and just from the community in general, and just kind of let y'all know we'll probably see a sequel sometime. So guys, tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you want from a Saw 9. Like, any other stories that you want shored up? Do you want to see Costas Mandylor come back, or Carrie Ollis, or maybe even Shawnee Smith? Do you think that Topin Bell should be a part of it, or do you think that this should really be his swan song, as I've talked about earlier on in this channel? I mean, anything that you want to talk about when it comes to Saw, Jigsaw, Saw 9, or Jigsaw 2, whatever you want to call it, in the comment section below, guys. I am just super excited for this film, and I hope everyone is as well. We'll see it next week. My review will be up. Spoiler review, non-spoiler review. I mean, I'm going to be covering this stuff. We're going to be explaining, we're going to be talking about how it fits into the greater narrative and everything else like that. But until then, honestly guys, we're just going to have to leave it. And I hope everyone has a really good day. Like always, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button because that's going to notify you every single time I upload. And hopefully as we get closer to Jigsaw, as we go through this next week, I can put way more Jigsaw content up there because I know not everyone is covering this, and I know the people who enjoy this stuff are really liking my thoughts and opinions on this. It's the only stuff that's really out there. The community isn't as big as it used to be. So hopefully everyone just wants to share their stuff. This is more of an outlet than it is anything else. So guys, hope everyone has a good day. It's been real.